Hello, it's Doug from Behind Closed Doors, and today I'm looking at one of my favourite people, barring Katie, and she's looking at the topic of why men are not vulnerable with the women they are with. So let's have a look at the video and find out why men choose not to be vulnerable. So just to give you some setup to the video, this girl is asking, why wouldn't my partner be vulnerable with me?
Walker should let go of his inhibitions and be vulnerable with me and figure out why he can't be open and vulnerable in any situation.
He should be vulnerable with you. Is that true?
Yes,
So let's turn it around. Walker should be vulnerable with me.
I should be vulnerable with Walker.
Yeah. So continue that. So give me, knowing you, give me an example of why Walker would not be vulnerable with you.
Because he thinks I'm hard to talk to.
Are you hard to talk to?
No.
Are you hard for him to talk to?
Yes.
So when he thinks you're hard to talk to, he's right.
Okay.
And so then barring Katie puts it out to the audience as, well, why wouldn't you be vulnerable with somebody?
Gentlemen and ladies, Walker should not be vulnerable with me. Knowing you, give me examples.
So this is giving reasons as to why you shouldn't be vulnerable with somebody.
Good one.
Men are taught not to be vulnerable.
That's the one I wanted to hear.
We have to unlearn it.
Yep.
Why?
Why? The fucking naivety, it's like, what? The fact that she asked that question, the way in which she asked it, shows her complete cluelessness. And this is no offence to the girl, she's just a girl. Like, it's a bit like, imagine if a woman came in and said, I just need to go and change my pad a minute, because she's on a period or something. And then a guy turned around and said, why? It would be like, it's a ridiculous, ignorant, redundant question as to why she's got to change her pad on her period. What do you mean, why? Why has she got to change it? Why does she have periods? Like, why are you asking why? It makes no sense. Like, in the same way that men don't have to put up with having periods, there's a lot of shit that women don't have to put up with by being men, and they're just blatantly unaware of it because it's not advertised in the same way that women's problems are. Because if women have a problem, there'll be a march in the street, there'll be a political campaign after it, there'll be people wanting to help make women's lives better. And no one gives a fuck about men, so men's problems don't get aired, so they end up just killing themselves. And then they wonder why the male suicide rate's so high.
It's everywhere. It's in movies. It's our fathers. It's in advertising. It's in the military. It's everything we see, at least in this culture.
And it's the women, when you open up to, that take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's what the family court's all about. I mean, the amount of sexism in the family court. If the family court could have just put children as their top priority, then that would have been their saving grace, but they don't. The whole society is set up to appease females. Children are second, and men are somewhere below dogs. And of course, if men are going through any crisis or anything, feminists don't like to hear it because it sounds like you're trying to take their victimization away from them. It can't just be that, both men and women have difficulties being their own sex or gender that they are. It's almost like a competition for who can be the biggest victim, and so that's why men don't even bother competing. It's like, well, there's not even any reason as to why I should complain about anything, because nobody cares anyway. If men have got an issue, you're pretty much fucked. Whereas if women have got an issue, there'll be loads of different businesses and services and products available to help you have a better life.
And it's the women, when you open up to, that take advantage of it. It is in us seeing you as weak and not there strong for us.
Yeah, because if somebody's being vulnerable, they're being weak, they're open to attack. And women don't want weak, vulnerable men, they want strong men.
You scare me when you're vulnerable because I see basically what a wuss you are and I'm not safe.
Yeah, they don't feel safe and secure, and women want to feel safe and secure with the men that they're with.
Women want it both ways.
And this is very unlike Byron Katie. She's not, if you've ever watched a lot of her stuff, I've never seen her like this before. She's very much more down to earth with this talk.
It's like, I need you to hang strong and I'll be vulnerable and you be there to catch me. And you better be strong in that when I need you to catch you. And at the same time, you better be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And look, she's got this smile on her face because she knows it's true. They want it both ways, and they want everything, and and they can't, and they're just perpetually dissatisfied as to why they can't have everything. And then all you have to do as a man is just keep trying to appease a woman all your life until you die, or give her everything that you have, and they'll just take advantage of it and love it. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, definitely not, because when I get confused, I take what people share with me when they're vulnerable and I turn it back on them.
You save it up and you throw it in his face when you have that false need to be right.
Absolutely.
How many times has that happened? Jesus Christ. You share something personal or private with a girl, and later they make the most vindictive, nasty, evil comments later on.
Absolutely.
How many of you have done the same? Okay. You see, look, honey, look.
Well, at least there's a show of hands of honest women in the audience.
Helen.
I could see why my husband would not feel comfortable always being vulnerable, because there have been so many times where I've told him, you can say anything, honey, and then when he said it...
A mousetrap. It's like, here you go, do you want some cheese? No, I'm good, thanks. I'll just stick with my ham sandwich, no cheese in it, thanks. Did she just snort? Fucking hell.
He regretted it.
And look how happy they are at it. Oh, he regretted it.
It's like, no, only say that when I ask you. Only.
Right. No, you didn't quite say it the right way.
Yeah, so if you don't say something the right way and you show vulnerability there, then they'll have a go at you for that. They just go around just pointing at the weakest thing to see how weak it is. And this is why I say you should base relationships on honesty, trust, and respect. If somebody doesn't respect you, you don't need to be with them.
So I'm afraid to be vulnerable with you sometimes because that would mean telling the truth. And I'm afraid that my truth would hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I couldn't be vulnerable for someone else. I could only be vulnerable for myself.
Yeah, I understand that. I've been ill for the past week and I've been like sleeping on the couch and like got my blanket here and stuff and feeling sorry for myself, and I don't want to interact with anyone. I want to be by myself. I want to just sort of like be left alone and be vulnerable to myself because I at least trust myself.
In my moments of fear and weakness, I'm very worried how you'll react. And in my moments of kindness, I just know that I'm sparing you what I think.
Yeah, it's a lot to put onto somebody, your fears and vulnerability and your worries and concerns. You know, even if they don't take advantage of it, you know, it's not fair to always put that onto people.
I wouldn't trust you to be vulnerable with you. If you have ever reacted in a negative way, I don't think he's safe. And also, if you tell me you want me to be vulnerable with you, then should I pretend? Why don't you like me like as I am?
Yeah, if you really like somebody, surely you must like the amount of vulnerability that they bring, you know, of their own accord. You wouldn't force someone to be vulnerable, would you? That kind of defeats the whole idea of you know, creating a healthy space where somebody can be vulnerable.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Sometimes the emotions are too big, and I can't go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we just want to be in denial. What's wrong with that? You know, like drinking, smoking, taking drugs. Well, what's the issue there? You know, people drink, smoke, and take drugs to avoid like having to deal with their emotions and eat loads of stuff. So yeah, why not?
the real times when I'm actually am vulnerable and true vulnerability comes is because it just happens. And it's because of the environment and because I feel safe in some way and because of the person and all these things. It's not anything I can actually do.
Yeah, it's the whole spontaneity of the situation. It's something that is kind of born out the moment. It's not something that's pre-planned and organised.
I give my family the gift that they feel safe. Yes. Because I am unflappable in those situations, or because I maintain a cool head.
Yeah, because it's like if a burglar breaks into the house, you know, and the kids and the wife are like, what the fuck are we going to do? And they look to the dad and the dad's like, I don't know, what are we going to do? Like, you can't be like that. You don't want a guy like that. You want a guy that will say, you stay there, phone the police, I'll go sort this out. You want someone who's going to take charge.
Deal with it in a way where they feel safe.
To test vulnerability is a courageous act.
Yeah, my girlfriend points out the fact that there's a lot of courage in being vulnerable.
You'd have to be open to losing everything. And in losing everything, you gain everything if you're really becoming vulnerable for your own self and not your wife.
I agree. Yeah, it's doing it for your own reasons and not because you're pressured to.
Yes.
That's really love, when you wait for the other one to be ready and let it come out. You cannot force him.
Absolutely.
For me, the more important the relationship is, the more dangerous it is to be vulnerable. I could lose it.
Yeah, but if you aren't honest in the relationship, then it's not really a relationship, then is it?
Yeah, this touches me very deeply. I'm 20 years in a beautiful marriage, incredible marriage. And I'm listening to you, and I could be in your seat because that's the issue that I bring up over and over again. You know, you're just not vulnerable. Blah, blah. And I mean, I really do. I mean, I get some mileage with it, and because I really convinced myself that I'm right about it. My husband is also a musician, and he performs, and on stage he's vulnerable. Everybody wants to know if he has brothers. They want to marry him. He's so open and so. And then when we're home, I'll say, well, how come you're not vulnerable with me? And the truth is, I just realized he is completely vulnerable with me. Completely. He rolls on the floor with the animals. When I confront him, he goes, I don't know what you want me to say. And then I'll go like, well, it's not that I want you to say. I want you to say what you feel. And he goes, he's being completely vulnerable, but not the way I want him to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So I just got caught in my own trap. Thank you.
So if there's anyone watching this wondering, why would my partner be vulnerable with me? There's probably a few reasons why.